So we want to make sure that all of our key points are subordinate to the topic, that they're all working to explain or argue for that idea. But we should also look to see how well they're working with one another. And that brings us to the subject of this video, coordination and discreteness. To begin with, are your key points coordinated, meaning they work well together? And are they discrete, meaning they don't overlap with each other? So we want points that are logically related to one another. But each point should cover a separate idea. If the points blur together too much, the speech can be more confusing. And, this is important for a 5-minute long speech. It's important for a 55-minute long speech. And coordination and discreteness can be tricky. Because often what happens is people come up with their first key point in a speech. And they're thinking it up, and they come up with that first point, and it's huge. It's massive. It includes everything. And then they struggle to figure what else they're going to talk about in that speech. So let me show you an example of this. Let's say someone asked me to talk about the communication major here at the University of Washington. Well, my first pass might look something like this. So I'm arguing the thesis. The communication department has lots of great programs. We have a wide range of excellent undergraduate programs, and our study abroad program is outstanding. Okay, that's not bad, but that first key point is everything, right? The second key point is tiny in comparison. And actually, if you think about it, the first key point replicates the thesis, right? It's like me saying, we have a lot of great programs to begin with. We have a lot of great programs. And that first point is so big, it actually encompasses the second key point. So the study abroad program is an undergraduate program. So I need points that are more coordinated and balanced. So let's revise this. All right, so now what we have is a little bit better. So we've got these 3 points. We have exciting academic research programs, excellent professional development programs, and a wonderful study abroad program. Okay, so now I have 2 large points. Academics and professional development are about the same size and scope, and when I deliver the speech, they'd probably take up about the same amount of time. But I still get to keep that study abroad point if I want to. But if you look at these, there's no real overlap between these points. They're covering separate topics. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that every point in a speech should be the exact size and the exact same length. No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that there should be a clear rationale driving the arrangement of your key points. So here's another example. Let's say you're a climate researcher and you're speaking to a non-scientific audience, sort of a general audience, and this is what you come up with. All right, so the thesis, the topic is, I study solar impacts on Arctic ice. And your first point is, what does climatology study? And then you've got the second point, September Arctic sea ice is now declining at a rate of 13% per decade. Okay, that goes from very broad to very deep very quickly, right? And most of us fall into this trap at some point. We know our specialty and we want to talk about it, but we need to move in a more balanced way. So we could revise this. We could revise it to something like, I'm a climatologist studying solar impacts on Arctic ice. So start off with answering the question, what does climatology study? So you can start out pretty broad, right? Then we can talk about what solar impacts tell us about climate change. All right, here you're taking a step deeper into the content. And then finally, we can talk about why Arctic ice is a good way to study climate change. So you end on your research subspecialty. If you look at this, each key point takes us deeper into the topic, but in logical, measured steps. So your key points need to be subordinate to the topic. They need to be driving that topic forward, but they should also be coordinate and discrete. Each key point should cover a slightly separate idea, and an audience member should be able to recognize the logic of your arrangement.